Welcome to Seven and a Half Questions, an interview series inspired by the Seven and a Half Law from the movie Being John Malkovich. And like in the movie, we're going to dive into somebody's mind for a brief time. And today I have my friend Natalie with me, who has last year moved back to Melbourne, to Australia, after living overseas for quite a while in New York and Singapore. And now she's finding herself amidst a lockdown like many of you. And she's going to share a little bit about her experience during this time. So Natalie, hi. Thanks.
Hi.
Thanks so much for joining me, and thanks so much for agreeing to share bits about your life during this time. So you have found yourself in a very unique position. Also, you moved back to Melbourne when your parents were organizing a trip, not a trip, they were moving to Europe for good, right? So
Yes,
you've come back and your folks have moved away just before the lockdown. So
that's the,
how crazy is that? What has this been like for you? This
oh my God.
experience
I
from
would say this whole COVID experience and even the pre-COVID experience has just been a bit of I guess a roller coaster of emotions and feelings.
yeah,
Having them leave just as we were locking down in March,
right.
kind of felt, I guess, I felt a little bit, not a bit abandoned, I guess. Like they were moving to another country and I was like, well, I don't know when I'm going to see you again.
Yeah,
A little bit excited to, have my freedom because I was living with my parents before they moved.
yeah,
However, again, it was just sort of like, wow, you're going so far away and all this stuff is going on right now in the world. The world is not feeling safe right now.
yeah.
A little bit anxious. So yeah, I guess during the whole experience, I've had a lot, it was also just before COVID too, I've been having a lot of anxiety and stress as
Mm,
well. And I guess I just decided during COVID to really focus on my health, physical health, but also mental health.
yeah,
And I took a few different steps, I guess, to do that. And it's taken a long time. It's not something that you can just change overnight. It also requires a whole lifestyle change as well. It's not just your thoughts, your feelings. It can also just be that, physically you have to do different things. You might need to do more exercise. Like walking has really helped me every day. Meditating has helped me too, and just doing some breathing exercises, changing my diet as well has helped. I guess on this journey of all of this, I've went to a GP. I finally found a lovely GP to work with, but I also went to get acupuncture, and I've also been speaking with a naturopath as well. So I've been really looking into all different sorts of fields of health to try and make my anxiety and my stress kind of basically to try and overcome that and see what works for me.
mm. That's so interesting, because I mean, so many people right now are going through what you're going through. But I'm so curious to know, what were the triggers for you that how did you realize that actually I need to really look at these issues going on? Like this could be
Oh,
something.
look, I guess I would start having panic attacks where I wasn't able to breathe and I'd get really emotional and start crying. And I guess just having a panic attack and sort of not being able to breathe and then having to go and lie down and just your heart rate is going so fast and you don't know what to do and you don't know how to handle it. And so I went to my GP and I spoke to them and I said, look, I do think I need to go and see, a psychologist.
Yeah.
And or somebody else to sort of help me through this. And I also told them specifically that I don't want to take pills. I don't want to do Xanax. I don't want to do all of that. I've had panic attacks in the past when I was living in New York, and what the healthcare system over there was basically they just shoved drugs down you.
Yeah.
So they don't really talk to you about other methods, meditation, going to see someone to talk to, support groups, all of that. They don't think about it in that way.
Yeah.
And so I guess I wanted to try and tackle it in a different way than their healthcare system was when I was back in New York having those panic attacks. Anxiety and panic attacks are quite different. But I guess I was just feeling anxious because I was going through so much change in my life as well. I mean, I just moved back to Australia. I was sort of reconnecting with all of the people that I knew here. We sold our family home and I moved into an apartment. So all of that kind of moving is quite, can be quite stressful in itself without having that anxiety on the top of it as well to deal with. you know, and trying to look for jobs and all of that as well.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And have you found the healthcare system in Melbourne to be helpful?
Yes, I have. I finally found like a really good GP, and I also found a really great naturopath. Speaking to a friend who referred me, and I do feel like it's very helpful being here as well. But also, I guess with mental health, the thing that I did, which was maybe a little bit unusual, is I just talked to some friends about it. That people that I knew that I was closest to. I told them that I'm not feeling great, you know, that I'm having anxiety, and they gave me some ideas of what I could do. You know, they sent me some meditation videos. They would call in and check on me. And, you know, some of my other friends were feeling the same. They're like, I feel really anxious. So we kind of set up a bit of a support group where we would sort of just check in with each other. And I feel like that's really important, is that you need to acknowledge that you have an issue or that you're not feeling great, and let people know so that they can actively come in and check on you. And I would actively check on other people as well.
Yeah.
And I think it's just easier if you also acknowledge that you are having a panic attack or that you are feeling anxious as well. I guess you feel that you can't do anything, but you sort of like, you've got to acknowledge and say, this is you know, I'm having an anxiety attack. It's okay. It will be okay.
Yeah.
And you just breathe through it. I feel like if you don't acknowledge that it's happening, you're kind of already a step backwards in a way.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I mean, acknowledging these kind of like issues that we're facing, so important. But I feel like it's not an easy thing to do for a lot of people, and I feel like it's a lot of the time we feel like, well, we're going to be okay, we're going to get through this. It's not a big thing. It's not something I have to address until it gets to a stage where it's like emergency. You know, mental health is one of those things that we don't have a lot of preventative things like that people have in place. I mean, unless, you know, you are an incredibly mindful person and who's already doing like things like you are, like meditating and knowing how to look after your own health and know when to reach out to people yourself as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's been a journey. It's hard to talk to people about it because some people don't know what to do or what to say either. And
Yeah.
it's like, I don't need to have somebody say that anything to me, but just talk to me and just tell them, just to connect with me, to talk about anything on an everyday lifestyle scale. The other trigger that I did find for me that was really causing me to be quite anxious was caffeine. So I've had to stop drinking coffee and like caffeine tea. So I haven't had coffee since like January or December last year.
Wow.
So that's been like a big lifestyle change as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to also know foods can also trigger it as well. That's why I went to see this naturopath as well, because I also thought maybe, you know, I did blood tests and everything just to make sure that all my levels, like my hormone levels, you know, my vitamin levels, like I had vitamin D, enough vitamin B, all of that was also in check in case I needed to add some extra supplements.
Wow. And has that been, so I'm curious to know also, has that been covered by the healthcare system here, or is that something you're paying yourself?
The naturopath I've been paying myself,
Yeah.
but the GP and all of the blood tests, that's all covered under Medicare. Yeah. And also, most people should already know that if you do go to a GP, you are eligible for 10 free sessions with a psychologist. They put a mental health care plan up for you, and you can choose a psychologist, and they will work with you, and you get 10 free sessions.
That's amazing. So this is just came in place during the pandemic.
No, this has always been in Victoria, I think, for a while. It's just you need to be able to qualify for it from your GP. They need to do like a mental health assessment.
Yeah.
And also after, I think during even COVID, they've extended it for another 10 sessions. So essentially you could get 20 different sessions.
Okay.
The hardest part is finding somebody that you're able to connect with and open up to, I would say, in terms of a psychologist or, you know, psychiatrist.
Yeah.
I found that I only did go 3 times, and I found other methods that helped me more than see somebody to talk about my issues and my problems. And so I went to, you know, do some acupuncture, and I just felt like changing a little bit of my diet as well and lifestyle, and going to do exercise every single day meditating and doing breathing exercises was more helpful than that. But you have to explore all the different options. I feel that if you're not sure, give something a try. And if it doesn't work for you, that's okay. There are so many other solutions. There's not just one solution to every problem. You need to find out what works for you.
Such a good point. Thank you so much for sharing that. That's so incredibly valuable to have you share that and talk about this, because it's so important, and so many of us are struggling right now. And there are people who are working from home who are feeling guilty about that they have this amazing life, yet they're feeling overwhelmed by the lockdown, the stresses, the anxiety, and are not able to fully address a lot of these things that they're feeling, or perhaps even acknowledge. So thank you so much, Natalie, for sharing that. And what are some of the things that you are currently grateful for?
I would just say that I'm really grateful for the support of my friends, my partner, and my family during this time. I have a really great supportive system in place, so I'm really grateful for them. And I'm really also grateful that living in New York, living in Singapore, as an outsider, the country doesn't look after you. So coming back to Australia, being able to have something like a job keeper and a job seeker come out during this time has been really beneficial and helpful, I think, to a lot of people, and also myself. I feel that we're very lucky to be Australian. You don't get those things when you're overseas. They don't look after you in a global situation like this. I know a lot of people who are foreigners working in Australia who have lost their jobs or have not been able to support themselves, and they've had to go back home. So the system doesn't support everybody, and it depends on what country you're in. So I think we're really lucky that we are Australian citizens, and that the Australian government was able to do something to help people.
Yeah, that's such a good point. I'm so grateful for that as well, because we met each other in Singapore, so I know what life in Singapore is like for people. There's no support, there's no welfare, and so we are so incredibly lucky to have that in Australia. So absolutely. I'm so with you on that. And I'm sure there's a lot of things that you're looking forward to post lockdown, but what are some of the key things that you're looking forward to post lockdown?
One of the key things is I love traveling, and now I've been basically stuck in one place for a whole year. I've been normally, I'm always on a plane going somewhere, even if it's not, into another country. It could be interstate or anything. And I had all of these wonderful plans to go and visit friends, or go to Tasmania on a little trip, or go to Brisbane and visit my friends. But I guess the first step to look forward to is going somewhere in regional Victoria, going away for the weekend, somewhere up to Dalesford, or going to the sea, like down to the peninsula, and just having a weekend where you can just go out and relax, basically getting out of that, escaping your home.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, just seeing my friends, going out to a nice restaurant, going to a bar, and just having a drink with some friends and just catching up.
Yeah.
Some really simple things, nothing really too crazy or elaborate, just those little simple kind of things that you can do, where you go away for a weekend or go and see your friends for a nice dinner.
Yeah, I'm so with you on that. Even simple things are the thing for me right now. And traveling, around Victoria, the state that we can't even do that right now, but that would be pretty exciting when we can. If you could choose, having lived across different countries, different cities in the world, and having your parents in Europe right now, if you could choose any city to have been stuck during the long pandemic, which city would it have been, or where would you have been?
I guess it's not exactly a whole place that I have in mind, but I would probably somewhere on an island in the Mediterranean Sea. Just being able to be on the beach, fresh air, maybe have about, a few really good books handy, and maybe one or two friends. I think that would have been the ideal situation.
That sounds amazing.
Delicious food and just being able to be outdoors.
Absolutely. And some sun, this is something we rarely see in Melbourne. What have you learned about yourself during this time?
So I've learned a few different things. The first one is, during the pandemic, speaking to a lot of different people, a lot of friends, everyone has a lot of different opinions. Conspiracy theorists, people talking about the government, some people not wanting to leave their house, other people wanting to break the rules. And a lot of judgment is passed on people for doing different things, saying, "Oh, you went out with this person, or you did this," or you know. I've heard a lot of that, and a lot of this also happens on social media. You might post a picture, it could have been from last year, or it could have been from last week, and someone comments and says something like, "Well, you're not 1.5 meters apart in that picture." So I feel like what I've learned is to be respectful of what anybody is feeling and their outlook on this whole COVID experience. You have to respect their ideas, and how they feel and what they want to do. If they're not comfortable doing something, that's totally okay, and you just have to be able to respect that.
I love that. That's so interesting. And the thing is, it sort of validates our feelings that we feel. It's like, it's okay. Whatever you're feeling, that's valid. That's what you feel, and you're allowed to feel that. You know, no one has the right to tell you what you ought to feel, you know?
Exactly. That's 100% right. Everyone has different beliefs and different choices, and they are all allowed to feel exactly the way that they want to feel, and you don't really have a say in that, if that makes sense. You shouldn't really pass judgment, I would say, on that, because it's such a stressful time for everybody at the moment, and everyone is in a different mental state. So you just got to be really careful and just respect that and say, okay, if that's how you feel, that's fine. I might not agree with it, but I'm not going to push it any further.
What nourishing things could you suggest for us to do this week? Sounds like you've been doing a lot of nourishing things for yourself.
I have. Look, I think just take some time for your body and for your mind. Try meditation. Try some breathing exercises. Breathing exercises only take about 5 to 10 minutes a day. It doesn't take long for you to do that.
Yeah.
And out of the day, I'm sure you can find the time to, if you go online, there are so many different breathing exercises that you can try just to calm yourself down. Do a little bit of self-care. Put on a face mask, have a bath, relax a little bit. We all deserve to take some time out for ourselves, I think, and try to do something that's both mental and physical too for yourself.
Right. Okay. I love those tips. I love all of them. That's such good tips.
I don't think we should just do one thing. I think you should do something that works both ways. But like a breathing exercise is really good mentally as well as it is for your body, because it can bring more oxygen into your lungs.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. And the thing is about meditation, I find that like I've recently started doing that myself, and I used to have this kind of mindset that it's something that I needed to do, like to have that perfect music, and you know, you got to have the door closed and everything's just going to be just right. So it feels like a lot of effort when you think about it, that this is the way it has to be done, but it doesn't have to be done like that. We can do it anywhere. We can do it in the car, we can do it when we're washing the dishes, and we can do it with our eyes open as well. It's just like, you know, engaging with that moment.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, when I started doing meditations, I've been doing Joe Dispenza meditations, and they're quite long. They're an hour. Sometimes I do them in the morning, and I might last 8 minutes. I might last 17 minutes. You don't have to push yourself to do a full hour. You just do feels right for you, and try enough to do that. And every day, if you want to, then you can start working on it. So, okay, if I did 10 minutes today, tomorrow my goal is 12 minutes or 11 minutes or a little bit more, and just kind of build up on that. You've got to start somewhere, and you don't have to do a whole hour meditation or have like you're saying, you don't have to have your eyes closed. You don't have to be, you can be anywhere. You can be sitting in a park, listening to headphones. Also find which ones work for you. There are so many different meditations out there. There's music, there's not music, there's someone that's talking over you. You might not like the person's voice, that you might not connect with. So you've got to try to explore that as well.
Absolutely. Great tips. And do you have a joke, or do you have a quote that you could share with us?
Sure. This is one of my favorite quotes. I have it on my computer screen, so I look at it every other day. You are never too old or too broken. It is never too late to begin or to start all over again. That is by Bikram.
Who's it by?
Bikram. Bikram Choudhury, I think. Yeah.
Oh,
He's
that's a
down
good one.
in yoga. Yeah.
Could you read that again? I just want to listen to it again.
You are never too old or too broken. It is never too late to begin or to start all over again.
I love that. It's never
It's
too late.
No, I just feel like this quote, and I actually heard this quote when I went to do my first Bikram yoga class a few years ago, quite a few years ago. And I really liked that, it really resonated with me because it applies to everything in life. You're never too old to start again, or you can do anything that you want to do. I feel like we sometimes, as we get older, we think, oh, I can't change careers, or I can't, I can't do art. I've never done an art class in my life. And it's sort of like, you've got to just say that you can do it. You can try.
Yeah,
You're never quit your job and move to another country and start your own business. You can do whatever you want to do.
that's
Um,
right.
a lot of that hope, I think there's a lot of hope in that quote.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
Yeah,
lot of hope in that word. There's a lot of wisdom. There's a lot of there's energy. It's like, you have to push yourself as well to also continue to grow, and you don't grow when you continue to do the same things day in, day out.
absolutely.
So I love that. Thank you so much for being here and speaking with me about your COVID experience, sharing your moments of inspiration, speaking about your mental health and how you've been addressing it. It's so important to bring awareness to that. So grateful that you did that.
A pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.